Welcome to the apocalypse. I'm so glad you're here. There's no need for you to cower and fear, and have yourself a merry little apocalypse, my dear. Damn it, wrong fucking thing again, really? Why do I keep hitting that? Just every time with the 4. No, not that. Stop it. Welcome to the apocalypse. I'm your host, the ghost with the most.
In my heart, and baby, down in my soul. You, baby, you can't take it no more. No, I know I'm walking out that door the way you treated me too many times before. I know I gotta keep you by my side till the day I die. 'Cause baby, ecstasy is in my hand. Oh, when I'm holding yours in mine and walking in the sand. Oh, baby, you know it's fine. Now you done and piss me off. You ain't done something you shouldn't have done. Baby, I'm mad. I'm going on. Oh, I'm going on. I can't take it no more.
I can't win for losing, 'cause I am just a caveman. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna put a fish tank up there. Because, sometimes you just gotta say, fuck it, and put a fish tank up, Fuck you gonna do? So anyways, welcome back to my stupid head in a little box. I really start to think I look more and more like a ridiculous... I look more like Mr. Gambaluka, actually. My friend's history teacher. The history teacher from the high school that I went to that passed away on election night. Just fucking heart stopped. And I've wondered a couple times whether or not I was right about him. Whether or not he was a commie. Whether he was a liberal, socialist commie, One of them anti-Christian propaganda types. One of them anti-biblical historian types. Now, it's a real tricky thing. I just want to say this going into this lesson, and this applies to any other lesson I'm trying to give here. There's no getting it right and narrowing down any individual person's genetic history. Okay? There's no judging people by their family or their even descendancy of sons of Cain. They were allowed on Noah's Ark, were they not? Noah's Nark. Well, they might have been allowed on Noah's Nark, but I don't think he would have liked that very much. I don't know what a narc is, but it sounds dirty. Okay, anyways. But anyways. Let's see here. The only way to judge people, the only way to decide if somebody's friend or foe, is by what the fuck they're doing and how it affects you. Let's get into a prime example with Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Don't anybody fucking dare think that anything Hillary Clinton would have possibly done, or ever possibly did, what did Hillary Clinton ever fucking do, that affected you? Well, Donald Trump has caused American farmers and manufacturers already a lot of fucking grief with these tariffs. Not to mention, embarrass on the world stage, share our fucking secrets with Russia, share our allies' secrets with Russia, share our sources and methods. I could go on and on. Donald Trump has made us less safe. Whereas basically just having a bland, boring, fucking moderate, and I don't believe that she was a corrupt person, but if she would have been, I would not have given a fuck. Honestly. Because there wasn't anything that she was even alleged of doing that has any fucking effect on anybody's life. And I'm speaking within reason because, oh my god, the weird shit, come on. I mean, come on. And let me just say this. Most of the reason why, and I've covered this on the previous Lost Begotten channel, or the channel previously known as Lost Begotten, Just a little symbol now. Like, I think it's just... That's the symbol. The blah 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 is blah 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 with the blah blah blah. No, the fuck. I just had a brain fart right in the middle of my damn sentence. Getting wondering about who the hell is gonna come join me tonight, or who's watching. Anyways. Let's see here. Is anybody watching? They can get me back on track in the track in the chat. Need to not be looking up at all this shit that's on the TV right here, because it's completely irrelevant, but it's very interesting and kind of distracting too. God damn it, I forgot that, like waking up from a fucking dream. Wow. Sensing weird spirit energy again. But anyways, so I went a little too far with my joke there on the previously the lot begotten symbol. And, you know, that's the fucking downside of speaking about weird shit without fucking having any goddamn notes to guide your fucking talking points. I just need to know what fucking subject I was on before that. Oh, damn it. I really hate it when I do this. It always helps to actually get online when people aren't too busy to hang out, because then I get the help in the chats. But now I get to fucking waste airtime. Which, you know, that's always fun. It's kind of like that feeling, only a lot less intense, when you're playing a gig and somebody asks you to song. I ask you to play a song, and you used to play that song, but it's been a while since you played that song, and then you come to the fucking verse and you're just like, it's not in my brain for some reason. Shit. Anyways. So, I was talking about judging people by their works. And I'm still getting distracted by this fucking Rachel Maddow freeze frame that I have on the fucking TV right here. Oh, and it's even being reflected in the aquarium. Shit, I can't look that way, can't look that way. Can't look there, it's my fucking face and making me feel like I'm on a microphone. Is there some one person watching right now? Could be an old friend from New Orleans. Could be the one new person. I don't know. Could be the asshole in Russia just sitting there hoping so much that his little hacking bullshit works and that nobody hears what I say because he's so scared of me. Yeah. God forbid people would come in here and actually be able to discuss things with me. Or like if the subscribers would get notifications and that kind of stuff. But that just mysteriously stopped happening, huh? Nothing to do with YouTube and Russia. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So, oh, well, I did just gain an extra audience member. Thanks for reminding me. Cool. Dead guy showed up. That's always helpful. So, wow. I mean, bam. All of it just came back. Mr. Gambaluka. Welcome to the in-home audience. Can you stop standing up, you tall motherfucker? Okay. But anyways, what I was saying is Mr. Gambaluka was a hippie back in the day. He was well associated with communists and Black Panthers, he even says. Wow. Now I'm talking to a dead person online. This is not awkward at all. Wait, hold up. I need the awkward banner. Because this has officially gotten awkward. And, oh, it just makes me feel better about my awkward moments. Because they don't get much more awkward than that, looking up the fucking thing that your wife says to go outside and look. There's a big hole in the sky, and it's on the news and everything, and it's like, you go out, and then your face is in it, and it's like, I'm gonna go get a camera. No, I already had the camera, actually. So, I was actually suspecting whether or not you had known firsthand about the Weather Underground. But it was the Black Panthers that gave you the idea, that gave you the clue in on the thing. Okay, so that's very interesting. I was wrong. Now, when I got all the memories back, suddenly I'm with a different theory. That's interesting. Increases the likelihood of it not being a delusion, I would say. That, and I was pretty thoroughly giving up on that brain fart there. So Gambaluka himself just came and reminded me of what the fuck I was thinking. And now I can't even let it go. I could just start singing the Let It Go song, and I probably still couldn't even get rid of the thought. Because he's sitting right there. But he's not standing anymore. It's very kind of you, sir. Anyways. So, welcome, more people. Whether you're here to learn or come to laugh at the freak show, I thank you. And hope you enjoy. what I was saying was, there was a lot of people who showed up dead. Mr. Gambaluka was just one of them. Died for different reasons here and there, I would say. Were they targeted? I don't know. But it's possible. Because every single one of these people had a different level of insight and intuition. Every single one of these people were very logical, spiritual people. One thing that's interesting about Mr. Gambaluka, logical, but not spiritual. But I always felt like he knew something that made him not like me. Like a lot of the different not so nice Freemasons in New Orleans. But I wonder if he, like many other people on the communistic side, on the social liberal side of the ongoing anti-American conspiracy that never ends and just keeps evolving, apparently. What did he realize? You know, I was thinking Weather Underground, and he started to see some connections, you know, get disappointed with the other side, but it might have actually been even deeper with the Black Panthers being a thing in his past. Something made him realize that was all wrong. That was all just, you know, being used as a pawn. Being used by being programmed with an ideology just to be set against somebody else for a third party's benefit that's just going to sit back and laugh. And that third party is what I call the Horde. And when people start to wake up and realize that there's something behind the scenes that doesn't really care whether it's left or right, doesn't really care whether it's nationalism or just a melting pot. They just want to fucking program us with extreme views so they can set us against each other so that they can conquer and take more. And you know how you judge people by their works? The way I judged Hillary Clinton. Didn't want to fucking divide anybody. Okay, and my standard for the fucking Democrats is simple. Are you a good Christian? And I think Republicans need to realize that unless you're just a rich, greedy fuck, a Democrat being someone who stands up for the Christian faith is an ideal president every single time. You have logic, you have reason, you have basically the objectivity to appoint experts to take charge of individual aspects of the economy. The economy generally tends to hum along. The only thing that really stops it is generally Republican or political obstruction. But that still couldn't stop Bill Clinton. Oh, and there was plenty of it. But what we need to be wary of and what's planned to happen in the future is not going to be an uprising of the white race and Christianity. No. It's going to be a turn to the far left. Get down. I had to turn to the far left and get them fucking kittens off the counter because they were driving me crazy. Oh, you want me to talk about you some more? Okay, I will. So, Mr. Gambaluka, I don't like making this kind of assertion based on the word of a dead guy, even if he did do a good job of jogging my memory earlier. He realized that this Russian mafia horde was really about greed, and that it had just used him. And the way that it used him was as one of those educational implants. And like I said, a lot of people may have been killed for being just that and set up to look like drug overdose, set up to look like suicide. Because they were the illegals. They were those people whose parents were sent to Canada so that they could be Americanized, so that they could grow up Americanized. And they would either come here and give birth to their children, or even as far back as the fucking 60s, okay? These are plans that started in the mid-40s. And you had massive deployments into Canada and even into America where people would go to proximity countries and fake their identities to get to America. And we had a lot more attempts that got stopped of that than we talk about much. Because, you know, when you have a whole bunch of attempts that got stopped, how many got let through, you know? And as these people, you know, if you look at Yuri Bezmenov, what he said, when the fascists take over, the liberals will be lined up against the wall and shot. They helped the fascist take over by driving a wedge into Christianity. And by basically, you know, calling people of faith stupid over and over again, calling religious people stupid over and over again. I don't know about you, but when it comes to like a redneck or one of them guys with like all the different holes and piercings in their shit and dreadlocks and fucking a tongue and a nose and a tattoos and everything. It's kind of a toss-up for me. And as far as which one I could have an easier time talking sense into, I'll take the Christian wannabe redneck over the Satanist proud to be atheist confused person that just wants to fuck up his body. Oh, God gave me this. I hate it. Oh yeah. All the noises to mask the subconscious thought. It's masochism. Because hatred of God inevitably leads to hatred of self. And denial of God inevitably leads to denial of self. But anyways, the same turn that people question about Donald Trump, for instance, and Roseanne Barr, and you know, maybe even Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer guy, how they've kind of flipped sides without really flipping some of their core principles, but still seem to be having like a complete disassociation with reality, and very much sound like programmed propagandists. These people represent that horde behind the scenes, that satanic conspiracy underneath it all. They're corrupting Christianity. That makes them Satanists. And if anybody qualifies as the Illuminati, oh, it's them. It's definitely them. Now, let's see what I'm talking about here. I want to use this window so that I don't wind up fucking up my system here. So here's just a little cute piece of propaganda. This was the maximum extent of NATO bases during the Afghanistan and Iraq conflicts, several of which were scheduled to be closed during the time period of 2016, 2015. And a couple more got closed because of protests and complaints and stuff like that Russia was kind of involved in. But let's just take a look at what we got here. Russia wants war. Sarcastic, you know. Look how close they put their country to our military bases. Do you know what a fucking ignorant statement that is? Okay. First of all, how many of those military bases have been used to invade Russian territory? The answer is none. How many of those bases have been used to invade and occupy anything other than the bases themselves? The answer, once again, is none. So what is the reason for those military bases? What is the fact that makes that statement so abhorrently ignorant? It's because all of those countries wanted a little thing called democracy. They wanted freedom. They wanted to be protected from Russia. See, the thing that this little cutesy fuck who made this image and all the little trolls who have spread it throughout the years just don't seem to get through their thick skulls is that you're brainwashed pawns of the Horde, and that's the only reason why you think this makes sense. Because your country is the one that keeps fucking conquering everybody else, and God forbid we form an alliance to keep ourselves free. See if I can't squeeze this down a little better here. Oh, whatever. So, what you might notice is that there's one big country that's actually about the same size as the United States of America. Not the same size as Canada, you know, that size of country. Not nearly as big as Russia. And there's no NATO bases in there. Why would that be? Could that be because of a force that doesn't really care about left or right kind of took over that country too? In fact, just kind of like it actually took over Russia, really. Called itself communism. But it was an old power that just found yet another new way to rise again. Never really went away. It just disperses itself so that it can come back and grow at the point when everybody drops their guard. Now, just to go in briefly through what we talked about yesterday, we talked about how the Horde had been around since the time before the Hittites and were essentially the sons of Cain that settled north of Ararat after the flood. You know, like the Noahic flood, like that. Yeah, that flood. If you'd like to know more about that, please check out the previous video, and maybe even the one before that if you want some interesting theoretical, esoteric points of view on the pre-flood situation that don't sound anything like any of the other crap that you hear online. Because most of that was put there by these people in order to turn you against the West, which they despise. And, by the way, while I accept the modern pacifist Muslim that moves to America and wants to, be a good person, and, I expect them to eventually, have an awakening and turn to Christianity or something like that. The movement out here that has come to America, this communist movement, this movement that unfortunately Mr. Gambaluka was a part of, has been made to prevent that process from happening. And so has the far right-wing hypocrisy movement. And because of that far right-wing hypocrisy movement, and that's, you can call it evangelical if you want, but I just like descriptive terms, I have chosen to emphasize something that they don't seem to be aware of. And, I love everybody. I accept everybody. I certainly don't wish ill on anybody. I wish for everybody to learn, but I have patience for them to learn. But I put this on the map not to be prejudiced against these people or their faith, but to point out the hypocrisy and the self-destructive nature of the delusion that Russia is somehow going to be the savior of the Christian white race or whatever the fuck. There be Muslims in them there hills, son. In fact, that makes up about 40% of Russia's military, and growing. Growing in a disproportionate ratio to the population of Russia, in fact, as in larger. So, that last map, that was, about 1,000 years ago, but even if you go back 2,000 years, and if you go back 1,000 years before that, you have this group that came through the Crimea to get access to the Mediterranean, and were very, very much like the Phoenicians. Howdy, Mr. Conway. And they destroyed the Magdalenian Empire that existed in Europe before Rome. They destroyed the Muslim Empire that existed in the lower Persian mountains. They destroyed the ancient civilization of Kemet. They destroyed the Asian civilization of Assyria and Anatolia and central Samaria. And they destroyed Rome. But wait, they're not done. They found it in themselves too. Once again, from this specific geographic region, that hypothetically, if the Noah's Ark story is real, then the sons of Cain settled there, and they might be acting an ass. At the time of America's discovery or settlement or publicity, there was a horde that was just about to get quote-unquote defeated by what is now Russia. And I've told this story a couple times, but I'll tell it again because it's just so very important, even for a Russian to understand how they were bought into service of the Horde. You see, let me just tell you one thing right now. You didn't stop them. Kievan Rus and Moscow didn't stop them. Okay? And just give me a second to make this analogy because the graphic is worth the wait. You didn't stop them. Oh, now that's going to pop apart. Anymore. Let me just keep on repeating it so I can emphasize this. You didn't stop them anymore. Wait, no, let me do it one more time. You didn't stop them. You didn't stop them anymore than Ukraine stopped you. Do you understand yet? You understand what I'm saying? Your history is a lie, my friend, and you have proven it. You, Moscow, did not save Kievan Rus. It was a fucking setup. There is no way this little place could have stopped, well, let's face it, all of that. It's the same story, all the fuck over again. Barely geographically aberrative. Look at these. Just think about this. If the Russians wanted to fucking invade Ukraine, they could have just invaded Ukraine. That was never the point. They never really wanted Kiev. They never really gave a fuck about Kiev. Kiev is kind of a useless place. Militarily, strategically, resource-wise. Fucking right next to an experiment that went wrong, you know. They don't really care. There's not enough of an incentive there. That was never the plan. The plan, the entire time, beyond getting Crimea back, was to take down America. That's what I've been saying for 4 fucking years now. And it looks like they, oh yeah, they did it! Huh. I'm gonna blow my nose. One second. Excuse me. So just consider the logistical self-limitation and the showing off of capability that this image here implies. The Russians were able to significantly advance their territorial claim through force of arms without weakening any individual front throughout their entire vast territory by a selected deployment strategically coordinated throughout their land. I mean, it's really quite brilliant what they've done, and it reminded me, it just like really started to awaken something in me when I saw this map. Like I had kind of theorized a map like this before, but like an old map. And like I did like kind of a pen and string like CSI fucking, but just kind of an investigative look at where some soldiers had come from by inspecting their bodies, by inspecting their corpses on the battlefield. But that was a long time ago. Memories, like the corners of your reincarnated soul. What? So anyways. There's my cigarette. There we go. This here, if they wanted to say, pull a little more from these areas, or not deploy Kirov to Chechnya to distract the world, and just, send these guys to Ukraine. Probably could have taken Kiev. They really weren't suffering a lot of casualties the way they were doing things in East Ukraine. They were really very methodical, very well backed up, using guerrilla type tactics to take small areas, then moving in big equipment to back it up and hold the ground. So, like minimal risk to advance, and then just like, we're here, fuck off, kind of. And at this point in history, in the mid 1400s, and this is the part of the story that I'm going to reiterate after just, backing it up with logistic logic. I mean, pretty flawless logic, I would say. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the, theory of this. If I could see a flaw in the logic, I would, say maybe it's wrong. But I'm 100% certain of this. 100%. I don't get 100% certain about I'm not 100% certain that my name is Sean Morris. I'm not 100% certain that I'm a human being. But I'm 100% fucking certain of this. Moscow didn't save shit. It had to have been a setup. Okay? Just like I was 100% certain that Russia was coming after the psychological state of the right-wing Christian in this country. And that they were doing so to conquer us. And boy, watch the walkout on the Vladimir Putin summit. Watch how joyous and conquering, like just how giddy Putin looks when he comes out. And Putin's just like stumbling, watch his step, like, oh god, can't believe I'm in this fucking mess. Just totally abased to Putin. We wound up getting conquered by bullshit. But we're learning some valuable lessons from it. And, well, let me just admit one thing. I'm not really afraid of the path of fate. But I really hate that motherfucker's voice. I just wanted to stop having to hear his fucking voice. Oh, God. Ah. Somebody end it, I don't care how. Oh. It's like Cartman fucking a dying cat, or I don't know, like just. Screw you guys, I'm blowing Putin. Like, I don't fucking. So anyways, during this time period, Kievan Rus was under the attack of the Mongolian horde, and had all been but conquered. And they sent letters to Latvia and Lithuania, Finland and Sweden, and nobody fucking came but the Muscovites, the Muscovites, the Muscovites. There's something wrong with me. Something very, very wrong with me. Now, where my bullshit detector goes off there is not just in my memory of, being alive at that time and very old and very wise and consulted by most of the nobles of Europe at the time. Something that they should seriously look into this day. But just on a purely logical note, the way that they would have most securely and expeditiously delivered messages to the kingdoms which they were petitioning for help, Latvia, Lithuania, Sweden, and Finland, would, and let me just try to get a better map of the rivers there. Or maybe I'll just zoom in. If I can. 1 second, please. Gonna take away some right and some bottom. Oh. A little more right. Oh, not that much right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, why not? I know a little more about him. Groovy. Okay. So, the river. Oh. What's the river's name? Oh, I know the name of this river. I know this from recent. I should fucking should know this. See, there's different types of intelligence, and mine is not the type of intelligence that would win on Jeopardy. I know things in great detail and can perceive things in very complete ways. But instant recall is not my strong suit. Is it the Volga River? Anyways. You can go north from Kyiv on a river. And then it's a very small travel to another river. In fact, it used to connect by channel. I don't know if they still have a channel there. The river's been destroyed and rebuilt for all I fucking know. But you would then be able to go on a faster route to the, not just, Sweden and Finland, obviously, but actually to Latvia and Lithuania, their capitals, much quicker. Now the problem is that the message never seemed to get there. The Latvians and Lithuanians, none of them ever came. But you know who came? Moscow. Moscow was considered to be an unsuccessful trading post. And whether the noble there was illegitimate, or whether he was butthurt for being accused of being illegitimate, whichever it is, he was not a friend of Europe. He was a friend of the Horde. How do I know this? Because of this picture. Because while Latvia and Lithuania would have actually been able to convince Hungary to enter the battle, and Latvia and Lithuania and Sweden and Hungary, of course, could have teamed up and stopped the Horde again and saved Kyiv, and maybe even pushed them back from that point, Moscow could not. The very idea is preposterous. What happened was this trading post up in the north suddenly had a bunch of soldiers, probably looked a lot like these guys. They're from Chechnya. You see, Moscow wasn't really between anything. Wasn't a viable place for a trading post, for fuck's sake. It just wasn't. There's no reason to be there. It's just a war outpost. It's the only capital I know of that has minarets for its government building, and it's got the world's largest mosque, and it's called Moscow, and it's funny that the bad Muslims, or the Islamic extremists, have no problem pretending to be Christians or Jews or anything like that. But Trump supporters think Moscow is their friend. Well, so did the Ukrainians. For a long time after this time. Now, I'm not sure where to even start here. I wish I had a little bit better of a view of what was on the screen. Alright. Limited desktop space here. I can certainly make this one better. Go. So colonialism is bullshit. When you combine the effects of the Horde conquests and the Islamic conquests, and then you drag the wrong image on, or you drag your image onto the wrong window so it doesn't show up on the video like you wanted, and then you close the folder too soon, and okay. 1 second. So, there we go. The combined Horde conquests and Islamic conquests all came before this big bad shame on you white guy time called colonialism. And colonialism was basically a similar thing as NATO came to be in response to the Soviet Union. Now, what's interesting to me is that when people think of the Horde, they always think of Mongolia. They think of this country right here. But the Horde never really had any borders. They were nomads. Their kings were nomads. And even after they established city-states, their kings would not build palaces in those states. They had a sacred encampment that traveled with them. A tabernacle, actually. Look how on this old map there's that big lower country right in the middle. It's called Kazakhstan. Just to the left of Mongolia. Just to the north of Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, all the stands. Snoop Stanny Stan. And it looks like, what is that, Xinjiang province and Manchuria. Both basically own, both are basically owned by the Soviet Union until Chinese nationalism is weeded out. And what's interesting is that Hegemundo, the king of Hegemundo, gets so bored that he divides his army in two and makes them fight each other. That's what it's like when the communist Uyghur areas of China and Russia swap some land. But what it didn't affect was Mongolia, actually. Mongolia was the spectator. Mongolia is the sacred, hidden tourist spot. It's not as simple as that greatest trick the devil ever pulled, being convincing the world that he didn't exist. It's more like when you sense that the ones who are really in power wouldn't show their face on TV, That's where they are. In that country that's just mocking the world at how powerful it actually is, by having one little boat in that one little bit of water. They used to have two. They have one really nice cruiser in one little bit of water, facing Russia, pretending to be somehow apart from them. You know, because that would fucking do them any good against Russia if they were actually separate countries and Mongolia was the tourist destination people thought it was. None of that makes any fucking sense. It's literally, they got drunk and they laughed about it and they decided to put a fucking boat there. And you know what? Everything that they enjoyed in laughing about how stupid Westerners were in putting that boat there, they were absolutely right about, and they had every right to fucking laugh at us. Because we bought it. We bought it hook, line, and sinker. Mongolia is just that place with those guys with the owls or whatever. The hawks? Yeah, the hawks. And they'll go and catch a rabbit on the mountainside and cook it for the tourists and let them make a fool out of themselves trying to shoot an arrow from a horse. Oh yeah. That is all the center of the land that continuously conquered the world for fucking 3,000 years. That's all it is. It didn't just convince us of that because they became so powerful. No, that couldn't have happened. Anybody see what I'm saying here? It's fucking Mongolia. Like, what have humans done? Or, like, allowed themselves to start thinking, you know, it's Mongolia. But you see, the capital, the city-state that actually represents Mongolia isn't that blotch of land right there. You know, that's not Mongolia. Ulaanbaatar. Let's see, is my cursor showing up on camera? Ulaanbaatar is right up in this area. Okay? Chat disconnected, though. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Successfully connected. Okay. But now, see, this is more or less, I mean, it is an American propaganda map. It's accurate for the most part, cautionary for the most part, but doesn't want to cost morale. Okay, so it's not bringing attention to the scariest parts. Excuse me, that was pretty scary. And by that I mean the scariest land masses. Not for their capital, not for their heritage, not for their sacred status or whatever, but for how they are used. And the land in question is what I call the land of media, even though the land known as media is only in the place designated by the letter K right there. Right here. Okay. But that is actually because of a just bizarre floating bridge that once existed across the Caspian Sea. I don't know if there's any sort of bridge that's there now. But there was a floating bridge from Dagestan to greater media. I mean, that's in the middle right here. The middle media looks like a fucking goat's head, kind of, almost. There's little horns or whatever, there's the eyes. And right here, where the third eye should be, is the capital of this region, which is called Astana. Okay. And Astana is the lovely little place. Where is it? No, why? Channel icons. Channel icons. With the big, weird, owl-headed fucking topography. This is Astana right here. City of Astana. With the giant Olmec striking a pose. And that is right here. Dead center. Like if you just go up from where this thing points here. It's basically kind of like where that letter is. It's funny on this map because of the way this is shaped up here, being a little bit skewed from the view I'm used to. Used to finding it from here, but when I get the juxtaposition, it puts it like right in the middle of its forehead, like a third eyeball, and that's just creepy. But you see, Ulaanbaatar is just a gateway. Okay. These people are nomadic. They now have many gateways. I'm wondering if there's one here now. Gateways from their tunnel system, from their underground city network. And an experiment, I think, that began in the Ural Mountains, but that may have just been something that came after. But I know that by 2011 I could certainly sense just a network of caves with very awakened people, quote unquote. People, I use the term loosely. And as discussed on the previous video, it was these nomadic peoples that used Crimea to deploy what is known as the Phoenicians. And Phoenicians is a referentiary term, not a self-ascribed term or a term of the times. However, it is very appropriate. And if self-proclaimed, it would have been more of a warning than an identification. Now, in the conquest of China by the communists, let's see if I have a specific map for that. I'm going to talk about these other things later. Oh, here we have. There's Astana, Kazakhstan right there. Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Stanley Tools, and yeah. So it was in the 1920s that Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek fought a civil war for China that doesn't really get talked about much anymore. And Chiang Kai-shek's weakness was his lack of civility with the other Chinese dynastic nobles, and China, in South China and Japan and Korea, Manchuria, etc. And so, some of them being of mixed lineage anyways, and mixed loyalties that derive from those lineages, turned on Chiang Kai-shek and helped Mao Zedong. But Japan and the nobility in Korea and the nobility in Taiwan and some of the areas in the Philippines and the nobility in Tajin, which is in South China, actually in this area. This was basically loyal to, just by itself, Japan. They didn't even need to invade. They sent an army there and invaded from there, but the city itself sided with Japan. And if it wasn't for that, Mao Zedong probably wouldn't have won. China wouldn't have turned communist. But in the late 1800s, Japan had actually invaded Manchuria. And the ancient nobility there wasn't about to let that go. So when I think it was 1914 came around, they arranged for a staged assassin of a South Korean, or a North Korean by a South Korean or something like that, and caused the Russo-Japanese War to kind of turn into the Sino-Japanese War. Once the North Koreans had sided with, or really the Koreans had sided with Manchuria, Japan was really out of the question over there. Russia, communism had it. And that's this area out here. On this side. Where's that other Japanese map I just had? There we go. So that was territory of Japan. From around 1890, or no, it was 1990 or 1905, according to this map, to 1932. And I think maybe the reason why Japan invaded China, in a sense, and I'm sure the Chinese won't want to hear this, but they really need to consider it, was to protect it from communism. And eventually, you know, this all became one big alliance, really. Let's get back to the comparisons real quick so I can get some of these windows closed. The geography. Let's see where. Two, 22 million square kilometers. Okay. That is the Soviet Union. Its western portion, more than half of Europe, only comprised a quarter of the Soviet Union. And the total land area of America is about 10 million. So less than half that. This also includes Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, and all the islands combined. So that's just an interesting comparison that you might want to keep in mind when you see maps that are kind of skewed out of proportion. Now, I do want to draw your attention to this map because it kind of looks familiar. Still a little bit out of proportion on the left side. No, I mean it's just about spot on, isn't it? Does that look like a certain map that I made? Alright, take it easy, Mr. Conway. Let's see here. There is a particular edition that I had worked out. That actually got all the proportions correct in one view like that, while also lining up the magnetic pole with what you actually get when you are using a compass on the ground in every area, which doesn't always line up with where it's supposed to be according to the map that you're given, which can be very confusing when you're in Australia or South America. But on this little map of mine, your compass works just fine. And this map here has the same exact proportions. It's just like what I wish I could have made that map into, but I couldn't really edit it any more than I did without screwing up the details. So I only copied and pasted and flipped and moved around things to make that map. Whereas this is a proper just a fascinating rendering. Really kind of skewed on the far right and left edges. But I don't know, not by much. I've been to California. It's fucking endless. And for all I know, yeah, that big round coast of China is pretty fucking endless too. It's just weird seeing it in that perspective. You get so I suppose you can get so used to looking at something out of proportion that actually seeing it in proportion is confusing. Just occurred to me that if this map were flat, the sun could fucking move in a triangle if it wanted to. Damn near. So I must say, the Russians got a lot of military bases in their little western part there. Kind of interesting. It's almost as though they think anybody is interested in that land and believes their propaganda of paranoia that people are out to get them, so we have to build more weapons than everyone. Oh, but Russia doesn't sell them as many weapons as the United States. Oh yeah. Let's move on to that. Where is that one there? There we go. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and use the story of it. That's fine. In 2014, Russia's arms sales actually exceeded the United States. Isn't that something? Does not want to let me zoom in on that anymore. Okay. And that just wasn't at all helpful. Not at all helpful, okay. So this one says 29.7 billion, this is 26.9 billion. Now, this is not typical. But one thing you have to understand about American weapons sales, ours cost more. Yeah, ours are better. They cost more. In fact, they usually cost too much. But that's okay as long as they're the best, as far as I'm concerned. But this whole idea of, you know, I don't trust anyone who sits there and tries to belittle Russia and act like they're a minuscule threat, or somehow not a world player, or ever stop being a threat, or anything like that. They've been playing us for a long fucking time. And that's what we really got to wake up to. When you think about it, it's basically like three weapons. Three weapons to one. When it comes to the dollar per dollar comparison. So if Russia's equaling us in dollars, then they're selling 3 times as much weaponry as we are. So their typical amount of selling about half as much or a third as much, dollar-wise, usually means that they're keeping up with us. So they've been keeping up with us, and now they've tripled us. Now, I wonder if anyone on my viewer who's watching here in the chats there can point out on this map, based on what I've just been discussing. Well, this is kind of disgusting. Oh, fucking whatever. Just gonna move on. Based on what I've been discussing, what part of this map represents the dumbest fucking thing America has ever done in its fucking god, so stupid, so stupid. So fucking dumbass. You see it yet? You see the part of the map that's just liquid, concentrated, dumbass? Maybe this will make it clear. See the blue? That's weapons from the United States. And the red, that's weapons from Russia. Exclusively, you know? Exclusively, okay? The red and blue stripe is from both. Understandable. Kind of disconcerting. But, I'm glad we've got the weapons there too, I guess. Weird. Understandable. Conflicted. Kind of sucks. But yay. Weird and understandable. What the fuck? What the fuck? Wait a minute. This little finger here. It looks familiar. I'm having a flashback or something. Wait a minute. Can it be? Oh no. Shit, it's them! We came from right there, it's them. Right there. Upper Meso-Persian. American technology. We are bored. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Someone set us up the bomb. You have no chance to survive. Make your time. Wahaha. All your base, your base, your base, base. All your base are belong to us. Ha 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 ha. Zig, zig. Oh, great justice. Oh, naivete. Oh, world of the Horde. Think about how much of South America and Africa has recently gone Putin. Think about how much of our own country has gone Putin. Think about how much of China has gone Putin. Think how much of India has gone Trumpin' and Putin. Philippines. Fucking genocides in Bangladesh. Burma. I think the makers of this map here would have been really pissed off at us today at how little we took their warning. We gave these fuckers American military technology in Kazakhstan. I'd sure like to know how much. I'd sure like to know what we gave them. Holy fuck. Because, wow, we really need to put a limit on what we give legacy allies versus new allies. And up until Trump done fucked up our relationship, I used to think we should, like, you know, basically only give Canada the actual shit that we had for ourselves. But somehow we managed to actually get Canada to not like us anymore. Oh my god. So the breakdown is actually pretty interesting. I'll read off some of the big ones to you. United Kingdom, 1.18 billion. Turkey, 2.28 billion in U.S. weaponry. Brunei? What? Oh, Greece is Russian only. No, that's web. Okay, about to say. I didn't go over far enough. I got thrown off. Wow, that's funny. I'm like, what the fuck? I should have saw Denmark and knew I was wrong. I was too busy wondering what the fuck that word was right there, and then I was like, wait, hold up. Portugal and Trinidad and Tobago? Greece? No. China, $3 billion in Russian weaponry. Turkey, $2.28 billion in American weaponry. Algeria, $2 billion. Vietnam, almost $2 billion. Venezuela, $1.5 billion. Syria, $1.25 billion. From Russia. All in from Russia. Sudan, Uganda, Belarus, Turkmenistan, Mongolia, Libya, Iran, Malaysia, and Cyprus. Kazakhstan, 149 million from Russia. Pretty sure they bought a lot of weaponry from Ukraine. And 5.3 million from America. So, obviously nothing fancy. That's a big relief. Oh my god. But that's only in that year. Like, it's just not sitting well. Really? American weaponry being sold to Kazakhstan. Holy shit. All they need to buy is one of each, you know? So look at our wonderful allies that are so with us against Russia. We've got, what's that, Greece down there? Oh yeah. They'll sure as fuck fight the Russians. Turkey? Oh yeah, they'll fight the Russians. Oh sure. Iraq? Oh yeah. Yeah, they'll fight the Russians. Iran? What? What? Oh yeah, that's before 58 when Russia fucking overthrew Iran. They're basically now a satellite state and always have been. Even when the so-called Soviet Union had collapsed, Iran was still a satellite state of the power that be, son. Pakistan? Afghanistan? Those are U.S. allies? Okay. The only one of any note on the other side of Germany, Britain, and France, Spain, and Italy, maybe, is Japan, and then maybe the Philippines, I guess. And of course, Australia and New Zealand. Capitalism is the foundation of freedom. Now, I don't mean bankingism. I mean the idea that if you have a talent or a plan or a product, that you should be able to establish a corporation and collect investment and limit the risk of your investors and be able to have financial independence and power for yourself. That is capitalism. And what this does is allow people, individuals, to provide jobs for those who do not have the initiative to start their own businesses, or do not have the talents, or simply, just want to do a job, just want to fucking not think about it when they get home, that kind of thing. Owning a business is not for everybody. But capitalism serves two purposes. To provide freedom for those who want to own businesses, to provide freedom for those who don't, and to provide completely uncontrollable power to the people. That's what Russia doesn't want people to know about capitalism. That's what Russia doesn't want people to know. That's what communism, that's what socialism, that's what the lefties, the far lefties, don't want people to get about capitalism. That's what the people on the right don't seem to want to get about the responsibility of capitalism. And capitalism goes back a good long way. Freedom, free enterprise. That was the foundational hope of colonialism. In this time, where the Horde had basically set up a puppet nation along our borders, actually really sort of a trio and more, and then began to absorb even more through politics, through division, through strife, through conquest, through feigned withdrawal and unforeseen advance. The phoenix rises again. And colonialism, all these places that have been conquered, all these places that have been enslaved, genocide committed against them, women and children sold off. What was left of the West did not have the resources to prop them up. There was no choice but capitalism. There was no choice but the manner in which colonialism took place. And it was the foundation of the very level of freedom that the world has today. There would be no complaining about colonialism because there would be no need for it to sow division if it weren't for colonialism. Because the very freedoms that so many areas enjoy all around the world are thanks to colonialism and the waves of independence that followed, and the alliances that formed after that. And I'm talking about NATO. And I wish I would be talking about the TPP, but let's see if it's if maybe the one thing that Trump can't screw up is our alliance with Japan and Australia, because there's white people there. Trump, you like white people, right? There's white people. Not a lot, not a lot of liberals. What the fuck? Oh wait, no, they're just our allies, so Trump doesn't like him because he works for Russia. Oh yeah, I forgot. The Great Barrier Reef scientists are they're not happy at the political state of things. Let me just say that. And in fact, here in my area, I wasn't feeling too particularly good today. And I don't know whether it was because of this, but just happened to be. I was feeling like crap, and I couldn't really figure out why. Kind of had the shakes, kind of just felt weird. And I see there's a air quality advisory for my area. What the fuck? And that's the second one this week. Air quality advisory? That is not something we used to get around here. It's a fucking air quality advisory. I don't know what to make of that. Trump has released the Kraken as far as emissions regulations go. Oil, just go ahead, do whatever the fuck you want. Coal, go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want. And now we're getting the air quality advisories, huh? So not only are we putting our farmers out of work and putting our steel workers out of work and putting our auto workers and God knows who else out of work. Reducing our overall industrial capacity, reducing our overall food production capacity, replacing them with socialist-style subsidies. Same kind of shit especially Trump, would accuse China of doing. Massive red tide off of Florida at the moment, Mr. Conway says. Thanks for that. I'm sure I've got some messages on Facebook waiting for me about it. Recently, old friends who are not Christian at all have realized who I am. Because, I mean, well, you can be a psychic with a spirit guide and tell people what their dead relatives want to pass along to them or whatever. You know, I know about your Uncle Bob or whatever. I know about Aunt Sue. But I was looking around for a psychic that knew the fuck was Russia, that Russia was fucking coming, you know? I couldn't find him. Couldn't find him. I really like this map. It is a splendid map. Yeah, I know, there I go again. There we go. That's right. Russia, Russia, Russia. And you see, not only did my friends who are not Christians, and my friends who are Christians, and, you know, it seems the friends who were Freemasons are no longer my friends, except for one. I'm not sure whether he actually is a Whippenshaw. But, hi, Pun, if you're watching. But, just random people. Just people, you know? A little spiritual. One particular, not very spiritual at all. Very intellectual, very logical. Computer programmer. The bot guy I was mentioning. They know that not only I saw Russia coming, and saw the manner in which Russia would attack coming, and was trying to warn them, and they should have listened, and they realize that now. But they knew that I called them in the first place. They knew that this was going on longer for me than it was for the world. And it all kind of happened in tandem. Putin's play for power had gone unnoticed on the entire world stage. Until after I called him out. Until after I said, alright, it's time for everybody to know that the fucking devil is real. Because I just told him to send his fucking army right to us. I told him to come forth. And then a couple of months later, I proposed to my wife. And we set the nearest date that appealed to me, that seemed in the right season. It was right after my wife's birthday. Give her a wedding for her birthday. You know, that was cute. And the date was 12/13/14. And it took a lot of planning and preparation and getting all the invites and everything together and building the chapel behind my house and ordering the shit to do it before I could even get started, of course. But as we began to plan our wedding, Russia unleashed its plan against us, really. Boy. And we were just busy as shit with the wedding, man. But all we could do in our spare time was watch this saga unfold in Ukraine. I gotta blow my fucking nose again. Never let toxins build up in your sinuses. Never sniffle that shit in back into your lungs. The key to keeping a healthy immune system, to keeping sickness from getting attached and inside you and thoroughly infecting you. Never fucking sniffle. Hawk a loogie, blow your nose, get that shit the fuck out. That's why it's coagulating. That's why it's there, you know? What do I know? I'm just desiring a fucking human body. Anyways. I forgot what the hell I was saying. Mr. Conway, you happen to still be there? You could remind me what the fuck I was saying. I don't think it involved any dead people that can come and remind me again. But you never know. Dingo. Dingo. Since I'm getting all fucking comfy, I can move the laptop down a little bit more. Anyways. So right now, we're in this in the crux of the situation where the plan that was implemented right as we started our fucking wedding planning. Or preparation. Planning and preparation. And even in spite of all the miracles that kept on happening during that period. I mean, miracles happened to help us get married. Like a $50 wedding dress shipped. They literally heard about our story and gave it to us for their minimum, and ended the auction early. And actually, that was $150, and they wound up giving us back $63. They just PayPal'd us back $63. They just gave us money for after we bought something from them. And we had already bought it too cheap or whatever. It's fucking crazy. And that wedding dress was a very extravagant, very difficult to enjoy yourself in type of wedding dress. So they sent us another wedding dress. And my sister, she just got a new boyfriend who's a master chef. And that gumbo that he cooked for our wedding, oh, it has inspired my wife's gumbo till this day, and she has learned how to cook a mean fucking gumbo thanks to just that one gumbo that he cooked. Oh yeah, she's supposed to make some gumbo this weekend too. Oh, gumbo. I want it in my belly right now. Oh, hey look, he reminded me, but I remember too. Turns out there's some dead people who were on the case. Considering. Oh, stop. Grabbing the wrong box. Okay. I don't even think y'all could see what was just going on there. Well, since you're back, Mr. Conway, want me to get into some more esoteric nonsense? Because I'm feeling the connection of my life right in front of me. I mean, just... What are the odds that I would have a dream in my childhood that unpacked like a memory, where I was cursed and sealed into a tree in the furthest part of the earth for 420 years, and the tree was chopped down which, by the way, Hathor, my ex, has confessed to even knowing about. Which is why I mentioned wanting to read a little bit about the dark arts, or the dark sources, whatever, recently. Because for her to know that the tree was chopped down before I had told her, it's hard to not know who you are when your wife is Mother Nature and your ex-wife is Hathor. Just saying. Neither of these people have any reason to appease me. I have begged them not to. I begged them to talk me out of this shit. Like, can I not be this person? Do I have the option to just not? No? Oh, fuck. Yeah, sorry, Russian troll, for the whole creating everything. Boo me. Fuck's sake. Whether you like it or not. But anyways, so in my previous lifetime, I was, well, last known, although not at the time, but posthumously, as Leonardo da Vinci. And no, the painting that you think is him or his brother is not him. They have tarnished and destroyed and distorted those portraits like I just can't fucking believe. And for them to say that there's an image underneath there, and for trolls to go out and make it look like Putin or whatever, oh my god. Huh. All had interesting timing, in my opinion. As if they knew I was here. Because that's all been happening since 2011. When I ended my lifetime as a poet, and then a inventor, and then a painter, and a teacher, it was because these fuckers were on the move again. Not from that direction, no. Oh yeah, Catherine. She was so trustworthy. Everybody said so. And I was called to arm a city. So that it would not be surrounded as Vienna was by the Ottomans. It's fascinating but not surprising how I remember things better when I allow myself to get immersed into the emotion of them. But I don't want to get too far from the point I was trying to make. Point is, I'm going to need another cigarette. No, there are most certainly some paintings that may be considered to be possible Da Vinci's that look like he went fucking mad. Like something was seriously disturbing him. And that would be was it Timberlane at the time? This warrior king who led the southern horde. They'd been advancing through Yugoslavia, now it's called Yugoslavia, and had surrounded and burned many cities. And their technology was not what you might consider of that time. Now, getting back on the topic of weapon sales, one needs to realize, especially in the context of the Crusades, for instance, that some of the last people to get gunpowder-based weaponry was Europe. And at this time, the time that I died, the time that I allowed myself to be sealed in the tree, it was to make way for an escape. Because even with all my wisdom and all my inventiveness, I could not save the city I was charged to. And maybe that's why I had to learn how to be able to do a lap around it in 5 minutes. That track was hell at first. Nothing made me so angry as how many times I would just go off the fucking road just trying to drive on that fucking track, Nürburgring. But I have been around that bitch in the simulator. Thousands and thousands of times. And now I can take it in a fucking Red Bull car, a Formula One car, a Shelby Cobra, a pickup truck, cold tires, hard tires, soft tires, in the rain, in the dry, at night. I have every confidence that I could take a touring car. I wouldn't want to do a GT car, but I could easily take a touring car at a competitive level around that track in an endurance setting. Before I ever even woke up, there was just something about that castle. Why? It seemed like it was destroyed before it was destroyed. The way it looked like it had been rebuilt a couple of times in a couple of eras. But if you go back the proper amount of time from when I was born, you find a battle that destroyed that city from the air. Safe in the mountains? I mean, we hardly thought so, but damn. The need for flying machines was a desperate one. But nothing worked. Total failure. And too many of them. And I'm too afraid to really remember it. So, anyways, the point. Yeah, the point. $470 years later, about, not too far from where that happened. And at the place where the Horde was halted, before they stopped. At this time, at the time of America's conception. And now in a time where my wife is from Serbia, right here, or Thrace. The manner in which the final coming of the Horde takes shape starts with the conquest of East Ukraine, but begins rather peculiarly, yes, peculiarly, with some protests in a square in Kiev, Ukraine. That has a goddess and is named the Maidan. Big goddess statue, and it's named the Maidan, or Maiden Square. It's like the universe is trying to tell us something. I wonder what it could be. All that time went by. For the conflict to pick up in almost exactly the same place as it left off. In the 1500s. And while I was gone, deemed to be a failure by some, taken away like a prisoner to where they take prisoners. Australia. In fact, that would be the beginning of that. Before the written record says, I'm sure. But America was discovered before the Spanish found it. The British and the Celts had been colonizing it just as long as anyone else. I will say this. They think that Native Americans, and I love Native Americans, I have just a little tiny bit of Native American blood in me. enough to know the fucking Choctaw Chieftain's cell phone number, but that's just because I'm a cool guy. That's why I know about licorice root, but anyways. The idea that they took 50,000 years to colonize North and South America? No. 2,300 years is all that this place has existed for. You know, like, in its present state. "2,300 years is how long America has been colonized. Australia was colonized long before that. Australia is actually a progenitor, a completely separate plane of existence that merged to help form the world as you know it. But you'd have to watch the video before last to understand more about that. And I assure you it's very interesting. I need to retitle that something appropriate to what it wound up being. But anyways, the Australians, speaking of which, thought that the dingo had been there for 50,000 years as well. Turns out it was more like 3,500. They've recently had a scientific consensus on, or, reconfirmation. What do they call it when they realize we were wrong? Yeah, that's because you really just, you have ideas, and other people have ideas too, and it's about discovering stuff, that's all. So if we thought Native Americans took 50,000 years to get here, and we thought dingoes took 50,000 years to get there, they could both be wrong, couldn't they? That's all I'm saying. But while I had been essentially sacrificed and voted out, as it were, just, you fuckers think you can do better without me? Okay. At least put me in a form that I can help in my own way without interfering. And it's written that they sealed me into a piece of wood. Merlin, that is. And this is how things ended up. That's That's fascinating. So y'all thought you could do better without me, and then I said, okay. I went away for a while. So I'm not going to be right back like I usually am. Usually I'm right back. Usually I'm right back. Don't take me long at all. Live for a long time. Don't stay gone long at all. Always here, just in case you need me. And I can always remember the lives I've had before, so I can prove who I am. And it always seems that whenever I come back, nobody really fucking knows. And I have to teach them. And they have to realize the truth for themselves. Because it ain't about me to begin with. When it comes to a truth that can set you free, the truth is about people that are enslaving you. It's not about me. It's not like, oh, the truth is that I'm so good, if you just believe in me, then you get to heaven, and all your sins get washed away, and you can be as shitty as you want to whoever you want, and just go nigger, 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 Jew, Jew, Jew. Cunt, 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 fuck, fuck, fuck. Well, fuck, fuck. I mean, nothing wrong with fuck. I was just having some Tourette's, because I got, a little too excited for my present inspiration level. Ran out of lyrics to the song I was singing. And didn't want to just keep on repeating the N-word. Because then I start getting reminding of Jeff Dunham with the deer and the... Wait, no. Wait, who was it that... Wait, Louis C.K. ran over a deer and called it a nigger. Cunt, nigger, deer. Yeah. See, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. Louis C.K. was pushing the limits right there. But man, some people you can tell that the fucking people that they're around are just ignorant. Their family upbringing was just ignorant. They don't understand cultural sensitivity. And when I use the N-word, it is invariably in a way that would be appreciated in an ironic sense by my black friends. Because I'm usually making fun of Trump supporting types when I say. But anyways, that's what your Christians do nowadays. They just go into the fucking Walmart checkout line, start calling people niggers. Oh my God, there's just so many cell phone videos that are just so cringeworthy of people that just should not think that they represent a superior race in any way, trying to be judgmental of another race. You ever notice how it's always just like ones who shouldn't be breeding to begin with, who are the racist. Like, how do you think you represent the master race? How did you come across this notion that you are somehow superior to them because, what, they're louder than you while they eat or something? See, it's generally speaking a commonality among intelligent white people who have clarity of spiritual thought, who have clarity of biblical adherence, who have clarity of biblical comprehension. Those white people, the ones who are, genetically superior, if you want to be a little fucker about it, that aren't racist. Yeah, it's the genetically superior white people who aren't racist. I repeat, it's the genetically superior white people who aren't racist. They're not interested in becoming a master race. Want to know why? Because gangsters know when they got a big dick. Oh yeah, it's always insecurity that causes the lashing out. It's always a deficiency. It's always an inferiority complex that causes one to seek inferiority in others. It's always fear that causes aggression. Just as it's always cowardice that causes deception. Either on the battlefield or when facing one's mother. Do you want to learn right from wrong, child? Come and tell me the truth so that you can face your punishment. These are not those children. These are children of a much more rebellious sort. Who lie to their parents and their parents giggle and delight that their child learns at an early age. And they think that when they die, their God will see what they have done. Giggle. Oh, look, I even chased the troll away. Oh. I don't know, actually, wait. Oh, let me just take that back before I just go and do habitual response to a fucking normal occurrence. I haven't seen old boy around. Starting to worry about him. Oh. Psych. I'm starting to worry that I might be getting delighted too soon about whether or not my counter response was effective. Yeah. Counter response? No, just a fucking response, really. Ha. So anyways, What I was saying was, no, you can't go to heaven on roller skates, 'cause you ride right by those pearly gates. Oh, you can't go to heaven on roller skates, 'cause you roll right by them pearly gates. I ain't gonna hear thy word no more. What are these people gonna do when they live a life of cowards, telling lies instead of facing consequences as ordained by God through fate? What are they going to do when it's not their God that judges them, but the God of all creation, who loves the truth and hates lies, that judges them? Even if he should incarnate himself and become weak and imperfect and mortal and lustful and vengeful, and maybe even learn what it's like to tell a lie himself in his childhood. But perhaps it wouldn't take him too long to stop being a chicken shit and face up to the consequences so he could learn fucking right from wrong. You know, like I did. In fact, it wasn't even my parents that broke me of lying, because my parents were both liars. It was disappointing my sister. When I was 9 years old. And not so much that I disappointed her, but that she had won an argument against me. Because I had lied. She had caught me in a lie, and I didn't want to be caught in a lie ever again, so I'm like, what the? No. I'm not ever going to fucking lie. About anything. It took a while to stop lying. Lying was like an addiction. Moving to New Orleans certainly helped. But after that one point when I was 9 years old and she had called me out on it, there were a couple of times where I got entrapped because she called me a liar even though I hadn't fucking lied. And I just became more and more committed. No, I'm a truth warrior. Oh, I'm going to go read the Bible right now. God, help me become someone who tells the truth so I never get confused, so I never lose an argument to my bitch sister again. And I wanted to be able to tell her, look, I haven't fucking lied since that one time. And I've told her a few times growing up since then, you know. I haven't lied since that one fucking time about the damn dishes when I was fucking 9, 10 years old in A-Leaf. Not to you. Lied to friends, lied to teachers. It took years to slowly become someone who didn't just get aggravated with the human need to lie or human propensity for lying, but to really overcome that and understand that my parents weren't acceptable. Liars weren't acceptable. Really, I started seeing the world by the time I was about 13. as a place that just needed help. I stopped worrying about nuclear holocaust. I got over my partying, criminal, weird fucking phase. Moved to New Orleans. Turned 12. Still kind of full of shit. Turned 13. Found pride. It was a way out of the mess I was in, for sure. And it was a way out of at least seeing any value in lies. But that crutch didn't need to be born very long. And before I got out of high school, actually really by the time I got into high school, a few years later, I was the kind of kid who would tell on his own fucking group. Like, just, nope, I cannot be a part of this. Just, no, we're cheating. We can't do this. No. What's the instance that come to mind involving someone who wanted to use a calculator when we weren't supposed to? Something along those lines. One time was a book, one time was a cell phone. Cell phone being used as a calculator. It was before fancy cell phones. It was just a cell phone that had a calculator in it. I remember making the can't we just phone a friend joke? No. I turned into a little sarcastic dildo at the idea of one of us fucking cheating. But I still had phases. I went from being an anti-bully truth warrior to a fucking self-pitying alcoholic for a couple years. All before I was 17 years old. But I tell you one thing. In all my experience, I've learned some very intricate details about the exact boundaries between right and wrong themselves. You see, whenever I hear that someone's committed a crime, it's never just that simple for me. I always want to know why they committed the crime. What was the motivation that led up to that? What's the historical motivation? What's their childhood background? What's their psychological state? What's their nutrition like? What's their health like? There are so many factors that can go into every shitty decision one can make. That the standard for judgment as far as God is concerned is actually quite a high one. And within reason, no one could ever possibly complain about it. Yet those who have pitied themselves to the point of seeking refuge in worldly treasure and seeking security in worldly lands, they have lied so much they believe even themselves. And the lie that they believe is that somehow they will not face judgment. To avoid judgment, one must repent. When one is faced with the concept of repentance and the concept of humility, and not only rejects it, but works to cause it to be rejected in others, unforgivable. That is beyond any level of dishonor. To try to make another people evil just to rally your own people against them. To try to make another people think that their own government is evil just because you are afraid of them. How deep can the cowardice of their deception go? As deep as that fucking cave in Ulaanbaatar, probably. But anyways, that is going to be all for tonight. Thanks for watching, y'all. Click the like button if you don't mind. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.